The first crack in the perfect picture didn't come with a scream or a scandal. It came quietly, like a whisper buried beneath applause, on a night when the world believed they were watching one of the most admired marriages in America. Ethel stood beside her husband, smiling for cameras that flashed like lightning, her posture flawless, her presence warm, her eyes carrying a story no one could read. To the outside world, she was grace, loyalty, and strength. But beneath that elegance lived a storm that had been building for years, unseen and unspoken, a storm that would redefine everything people thought they knew about love, sacrifice, and survival. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the hidden strength people carry through silent battles, take a moment right now to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Stories like this remind us that what we see is rarely the whole truth. Ethel's life looked like a dream stitched together by privilege and admiration. She lived in a world filled with power, influence, and expectations so heavy they could bend even the strongest spirit. Her marriage, admired by millions, was often described as passionate, vibrant, and full of life. And in many ways, it was. But passion, when left unchecked, can turn into something far more complicated, something unpredictable and even painful. The same intensity that once made their love feel electric began to cast long shadows across her life. In the early years, there was excitement, laughter, and a sense of shared purpose. Ethel believed deeply in her husband's vision, in his dreams, and in the future they were building together. She poured herself into their family, raising their children with fierce devotion, even as the demands of public life pulled her in every direction. But slowly, the balance began to shift. The man she loved was consumed by ambition, by responsibility, and by a lifestyle that demanded everything and gave little in return. There were moments when the distance between them felt unbearable, even when they stood side by side. The world saw a united front, but behind closed doors, Ethel often felt alone in ways she couldn't explain. It wasn't just the physical absence, though that was hard enough. It was the emotional distance, the unspoken tension, the feeling that she was carrying the weight of a family while her own needs quietly faded into the background. As the years passed, the cracks deepened. The pressures of public life magnified every flaw, every mistake, every moment of weakness. Ethel found herself navigating a reality that was far messier than the polished image presented to the world. There were disappointments that cut deeply, moments that tested her trust, and situations that forced her to question everything she thought she understood about love. Yet, what made her story extraordinary was not the hardship itself, but the way she endured it. Ethel did not crumble under the weight of her circumstances. Instead, she adapted, she strengthened, and she found ways to hold on to her sense of self even when everything around her seemed to be shifting. Her resilience became her anchor, the quiet force that kept her grounded in a life that often felt anything but stable. There were days when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, when the constant demands and emotional strain felt too much to bear. But she kept going, driven by a sense of responsibility not just to her family, but to herself. She refused to let the challenges define her entirely. Instead, she chose to rise above them, to find meaning in the struggle, and to create a life that, while imperfect, was still deeply her own. One of the most difficult aspects of her journey was the silence. In a world where appearances mattered more than truth, Ethel carried her burdens quietly. She understood that revealing too much could shatter the image that so many people believed in. And so, she learned to smile through the pain, to stand tall even when she felt like breaking, and to protect her family at all costs. But silence has a way of shaping a person. It can either weaken you or forge you into something stronger. For Ethel, it became a source of quiet strength. She developed an inner resilience that allowed her to navigate even the most difficult moments with grace. She learned to find comfort in small victories, in the laughter of her children, in the fleeting moments of peace that reminded her why she kept going. Over time, something began to change within her. The woman who had once defined herself entirely through her role as a wife and mother started to rediscover her own identity. She began to see that her worth was not tied solely to her marriage, that she had her own voice, her own strength, and her own path to follow. It was a slow transformation, almost imperceptible at first, but it grew stronger with each passing day. Ethel's story is not one of perfection. It is not a fairy tale where everything falls into place and every struggle is neatly resolved. Instead, it is a story of endurance, of growth, and of finding light in the darkest of places. It is a reminder that even the most admired lives can be filled with unseen challenges, and that true strength often lies in the ability to keep going despite them. As the years went on, she became more than just a figure in the background of someone else's story. She became a symbol of resilience, a testament to the power of quiet courage. The same world that once saw only her smile began to recognize the depth of her character, the strength that had carried her through so much. Before we reach the end of this story, take a moment to share something personal in the comments. Tell us about a time when you had to stay strong even when no one could see your struggle. Your story might inspire someone else who is going through a difficult moment right now. Looking back, it is easy to judge, to analyze, and to try to understand the complexities of her marriage. But the truth is, no one fully knows what happens behind closed doors. What we can see, however, is the legacy of strength that Ethel built through her experiences. She showed that even when life becomes messy, even when love becomes complicated, it is still possible to find meaning, to grow, and to move forward with dignity. Her journey reminds us that strength is not always loud. Sometimes, it is found in the quiet moments, in the decision to keep going when giving up feels easier, in the ability to hold on to hope even when everything seems uncertain. Ethel's life teaches us that resilience is not about avoiding hardship, but about facing it with courage and emerging stronger on the other side. If this story touched your heart, if it made you reflect on your own struggles or the hidden battles of others, please take a moment to like the video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that they are not alone. Your support helps keep stories like this alive, stories that inspire, comfort, and connect us in ways we often forget we need. In the end, Ethel's story is not just about a marriage that was more complicated than it seemed. It is about the human spirit, about the quiet strength that lives within us all, and about the power of resilience to transform even the most difficult experiences into something meaningful. And perhaps, that is the most important truth of all, that even in the midst of imperfection, there is still beauty, still hope, and still a reason to keep moving forward.